Okay, so we are moving along with the questions in the group, and Kayla, when I asked what is the hardest part about rebuilding yourself after the narcissist, and I got a lot of good answers. So I'm on to the next like comment, which says, it's from Caitlin, and it says, learning how to meet your own needs and feel like enough for yourself and others again. Okay, so what the first thing you have to realize is that you've been enough the entire time. You've been enough the entire time. You've been a whole person the entire time. Nothing about you is falling short, or isn't enough, or isn't good enough, or is slacking, or whatever. That's not what this is. You're learning, but you're not screwing it up for everybody around you. Women especially have this pressure on them to be what everybody wants all the time. Oh my God, look at that. Oh my God. I don't have anything in there yet, but that's what that is. I didn't know I opened it. So, what was I saying? Yeah, okay, so women especially are taught that we have to be what everybody wants all the time at all times, and it's got to be that, and you just have to do it. And when we feel like, when we have like one little inkling or just one little jot of a feeling of not being good enough, or slacking, or falling short, or not doing 110%, or whatever it is, as soon as you start thinking that you're not that, you're not, a shining star, you start hating yourself, because that's what you've been taught. That's not helpful to us anymore. Well, excuse me, it's never been helpful, but it's not, what I mean is, what I should say is, that's not acceptable for us anymore. That's unacceptable now, because this is 2023, and we don't have to destroy ourselves for some man, to just survive. That's not necessary anymore. We don't have to live that way. So, with the decline of monotheism comes the decline of women having to give up their entire existence to survive, which is kind of ironic. But anyway, so you're not having to live that way anymore. So we've got to undo that programming where you think that one little mistake is going to ruin it for everybody, or what have you. And the reason women feel that way is because we know we're responsible for everybody. So there's not a whole lot of room for error. You can't really screw up with the food. Let's say you're canning, and you're doing the canning with the jars and stuff, in the pressure thing, or the boiler, or whichever. You can't mess that up, because if you do, everybody's gonna die. But we can't apply that to everything that we do. We're doing it anyway, but we really shouldn't, because you have to cut yourself a break. You have to give yourself some slack. Just like I said in the last video, you've got to take moments where you just recharge a little bit. You got to give yourself a break, because you can't be that hard on yourself and grow at the same time. There is no growth when you've got all these rules and restrictions and shit, and things that you telling yourself, oh no, I can't do that. That's not allowed. No, I shouldn't do that. No, that's not appropriate. No, that's not right. It's not good. I shouldn't be. That you can't, just forget that. Let's forget that, because you can't grow in that. That's bullshit. There is no compassion in that for yourself. There's no learning in that for yourself. There's no understanding. There's no growth. There's no transformation in that when you're being hard on yourself and saying no, blah, 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 because you're not being open with yourself about what you can do, or what you need to do, or what's possible. You're just saying, oh well, I can't, so I must be. But no. We're done with that. That's not going to work anymore. And that that's just not going to work anymore. So learning how to meet your own needs. So I would say take this one step at a time. I would even that other video I did, let me see. I gotta see who it was. So my video I did for Tina, where she said everything straight up, no part of it's easy. And when I was telling her that if you want, you can write everything down that's on your mind, and just one step at a time go down the list, and just go easy on yourself, and take your time with it, and ponder shit, and just write down your thoughts. And if you don't want to write them down, you can voice them the way I do. where I do it. Well, basically, I do it here in my instructional videos. But you can, if you just need to like blow off steam, just get on a account that you have, or do an anonymous account. Go live, cover the camera, and just talk. And it doesn't matter who you're talking to, or what you're saying, or who's listening, or what have you. It doesn't matter what the comments say. Don't even look at that shit. You know, if you need to figure out how to meet your own needs, you can do something like that to really like let your mind just explore itself and just talk, or just write things down and just see what comes up. Or you can follow your intuition one step at a time, little by little throughout the day. Something you feel like doing, or something pops up in your mind. You feel like eating something sweet. You feel like watching your favorite movie. You feel like scrubbing out the tub so you can get in there and have a bubble bath. You feel like laying in your bed, lighting some incense, and just kind of laying there, you know, looking out the window. You want to do that? Do that. Start with the little shit and build on that. You start with the little things. Once you start building on little things, you'll feel good about it, and you'll train yourself to see that it's okay to do that, and then you can start moving up to the next level. You know, you feel like spending some money on yourself, do that. You feel like taking yourself out on a date somewhere, do that. And then eventually you'll be working yourself up to something like, you know, you want to start your own business, you want to go back to school, you want to apply for a job you've never dreamed of applying for before, but you know, you got the credentials, you just didn't have the confidence. You do it. Do it. You'll work up to that. If you're not ready for something that big, then you don't have to. I would suggest pushing yourself a little bit so that you can experience something and see that if you push yourself a little bit, you can accomplish it. But if you're not ready for that, then go little. Then start little. I just don't stay there forever, because you want to build, and you want to grow, and you want to expand. And the only way to expand is to push yourself. But if that's where you need to start, you know where you need to start. And meeting your own needs, yeah. And if you don't know what they are, then write stuff down, like things that you would like to do in your life, or things that you like, or things that you wish you could do, or whatever that you think you can't do or can't get done. You know, actually, Teal Swan has a really good video on this, and it's how to figure out your needs, or how to meet your own needs, or something like that. I would suggest watching her video, because she goes into better detail than I could about it. Her stuff is really good. And the only thing I don't like is that I did watch her video about the narcissist. And she says in that video that there's nothing wrong with the narcissist. They are in love with themselves. There's nothing wrong with that. So we need to change our perspective of, and I disagree with that. I think something is wrong, because they're operating from a pain point that they have allowed to just take over their life. And it's taken over in such a way that they're damaging other people in their wake. And I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. And I don't like that they do that. So I do think something's wrong with how they do things. Yeah, they're in love with themselves, but they're in love with themselves for the wrong reason. And then they're not really in love with themselves, because they actually are operating from a place of self-hate, but they don't realize that, because they won't fucking admit to it. But if you hear their life story, it'll make a whole lot of sense. So that part I did watch that, but I mean, like, I don't vibe with that. I don't agree with that. There's few things that she says that I disagree with. Most of what she says I like. But just the one thing about the narcissist saying, oh, there's not really anything wrong with them, I understand she wants to be open-minded and stuff, but I just don't think that's right. Because the damage they do to other people, the psychological damage among all the rest of it, is astounding. And I don't think that somebody who didn't have anything wrong with them would be doing that to the extent that they do. Do you see what I mean? So it's like, but her video about how to meet your own needs is really good. In fact, I'll probably, you know what, I should just find that right now. I'm going to reply to your comment, Caitlin, and I'm going to give you the link for that, because it's just a really good video. But yeah, I would say, you know, go easy on yourself, write stuff down, write down ideas. If you want, you know, people like to carry around a little notebook, and just write down their ideas and things that they think about during the day, just like anything that crosses your mind. You just write it down and ponder about it later. Yeah, I'm going to share this to you. I'm going to look at the other half of your comment in just a second here. And feel like you're not enough for your other. Okay, yeah. So you're like I say, you're definitely enough. um, So if you've never seen Teal Swan, some people don't like what she says. Like some people think she's controversial or whatever. And in a lot of ways, you know, she is really unique in the shit she says. Like it's true. She's pretty unusual. She really is. Her methods and her teachings are definitely different from what we're used to, and definitely she's definitely coming from a different direction. But I wouldn't say she's outright wrong. You know, I don't. The stuff she says makes sense. It makes sense to me anyway. So I do, I have referred to her videos a lot, you know, for my own self-help and my own understanding of stuff. And she makes sense to me, except for the narcissistic one. That one I didn't like. I may go back and watch it later and see if I feel differently about it. But for the most part, from what I remember with her saying, you know, that there's nothing wrong with them because there's nothing wrong with being in love with yourself, I think she's missing. So she may not have a full understanding of what that is, because the narcissist creates a whole fake life built on trying to make up for how bad they feel about their childhood. I mean, they build a whole fake life. These are guys that have whole other secret families and all kinds of shit. You know, it's those guys, and that's not. There is something wrong with that. You know, most people don't want to do that. Don't have a need to do that. So yeah, it's wrong. But anyway, so I pasted that link to you on there. I copied and pasted it to you, and then and being enough for yourself and for others. You're definitely enough for yourself. The narcissist is going to have you thinking that you're not, because they're the way that they keep control is to have you thinking you're no good. Because if you think you're no good, you'll go to them for guidance and for help and for uplifting and for fulfillment and for positive input and things like that, and for their opinion. And you're going to constantly go to them because they're going to make sure they're the number one person in your life. So that way, anytime something's wrong, anytime you're feeling anything, anytime you're thinking anything, you're going to go straight to them, and they're just going to build all their information that they have about you, about your secrets, your desires, your fears. They collect all that, you know, because they have you thinking that you can't do something unless it's through them. So once they have you thinking that you're not good enough, you're going to come straight to them and say, well, I'm feeling like this, you know, I just don't know why. And the narcissist is going to say, oh yeah, well, it's okay, you know, we can get you there, I'll help you with that. And then you're right back, you know what I'm saying? So it's like there's no escape. They just have you running in circles like that. So that is, yeah, they definitely do that. But you have to remember that you were a whole person before you met them. You were a whole person while they were there, and you're a whole person now. You've never been anything less. You go on into eternity, you know. So is a narcissist, unfortunately, but your soul goes on into eternity forever. So it's like there is no of you not being enough. There's none of that. You're infinite, and that's it. And it's hard to see yourself on that kind of a scale when somebody's got you brainwashed to think that, you know, you're just this little person that's a speck on a map, and you know, God love you because no one else will, you know, because that's what they want you to think, right? That they want you to feel that way, so that way they can come in and rescue you and give you this whole life you've been wishing you had all this time, and then they can do it for you, you know, and if you just be patient and do as they say. And so that's how they really hook you. But yeah, you are definitely enough. Definitely. And especially, you know, the things that you and I have talked about, and the stuff we've discussed, and the things you've told me about your life, you're more than enough, and you're doing plenty, and you're doing everything right, seriously. And I mean this directly to you, Caitlin, but it's anyone else who's listening to, but especially for you, you're doing everything right. So you don't have to sit there and wonder, you know. I've been guilty of that a million times, and I can't tell you the times that I've told boyfriends, especially when I would lay there, I would tell them that I'd be laying in my bed at night worrying myself to death about whether or not I was doing the right thing with my life and with the people that were relying on me, and if I was doing the right thing, and if I was making the right decisions, and if I was going to make it in life, and if I was ever going to be successful in any way whatsoever, or if I was ever going to do anything right, or ever accomplish anything. And I cannot tell you the times that they have laughed at me and said, huh, I've never thought about that, huh, because I'm just a dumbass. And that's, I can't tell you the times I've been mocked for that. They teach us to hate ourselves, and then they laugh at us when we hate ourselves. So, like shit. So, I mean, it's a real mind game, but, that once you finally just kind of like cut them out, and you sit with yourself for a little while, and you just let yourself be yourself for a little while, you realize there's nothing wrong with you. So, I'm going to leave it at that. But I mean, plain and simple, you know me, you can reach out to me anytime and talk, but I mean, that is it. You are infinite. You go on forever. Once you bite the dust, you're just going to go back to source and, mold back in. And if you got to come back, you got to come back. But you're always whole, and you're always enough for everybody who needs you. Because if you weren't enough, the people who are relying on you wouldn't be there in your life. If you weren't enough and you weren't good enough, they wouldn't have chosen you. So, I mean, you can only use that for so long, and then you have to start thinking, you know what, yeah, maybe I am enough. So you just got to, because it's the truth. I mean, if you were a loser, I wouldn't be fucking talking to you. No, I'm just kidding. Y'all know I'm playing. But seriously, really. And we're all guilty of that, because like I say, we've been taught, that if we're not enough for 5 fucking seconds, that everybody's gonna die, and because everyone needs us, and everyone does need us. But, it's okay to wonder about yourself, because it's natural, but it's not okay to sit there and think that, every time we get rid of a man, we gotta wonder if he was right all along, because they're not right. They're not. And fuck them. And fuck the narcissists, especially. But you have always been enough. Always been enough. Period. So I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet and leave it at that. If you guys want me to go into detail, you know where to find me. But I'm going to keep moving with these questions. All these are really, really good. So if you want to join my group, by all means, feel free. My link is on my website, and you can just join. There's no weird questions or anything. Just join. And then you can post, tell stories, talk about victories, talk about things you've done to work on yourself. Or if you have questions, you ask all the damn questions you want. I'll answer every single one of them. And I do videos for questions. Like answering questions. I do a whole fucking video. So, if there's anything you want to know, you want me to go into detail about, let me know. And we'll do it. And that's it. So I'm going to leave it at that. But if y'all need me to expand, just let me know, okay? All right, thanks.